Hi, it's Chris Foster, Senior Editor of Triathlete Magazine. We're here today to take a look at Cervelo's brand new P-Series tri-bike. Now, before we dive into the bike itself, I kind of want to clear up some of the confusion around the naming. The brand new P-Series is meant to replace the P2 and the P3 that were released back in 2013. What that means is, in Cervelo's UCI legal Tri/TT line, there'll be the P-Series, which is actually just a bike, and the new P5. Nothing else. Confusing? Yes. Yes, it is. At first glance, those of you who have been keeping up with the avalanche of often confusing Cervélo releases this year will notice some similarities between the new P-Series and the new P5 that was announced back in March. The idea here is that much of the technology and tooling that engineers worked on with that $8,000 and up bike are now inside a series and a bike that costs less than half of that. You'll see very similar lines to the P5 in the seat stay/chain stay junction, which is borrowed from Cervelo's S-Series of aero road bikes, the down tube, and the fork. You'll also see some hints of the new P5 in the top tube and the back of the head tube. But rather than the integrated and super sleek front end of the new P5, we get something a little more utilitarian, with a spot for a standard stem and all of that simple adjustment we're used to on non-super bikes. Fortunately, in my opinion, the seat tube takes a radical departure from the most recent P3 and P2 and looks a lot more like the iconic P3 of pre-2013 that really kind of defined what a tri-bike should look like for a lot of people. Spec-wise, Cervélo will be offering this bike in 4 complete flavors, alongside a frame only. They'll have E-TAP, Ultegra Di2, Mechanical Ultegra, and 105. All will be disc only, but the 105 version will have mechanical disc instead of fully hydraulic. Sadly, the opening price of $3,200 means that Cervélo has gotten itself out of the entry-level game. And while this is supposed to be, quote, the people's bike, there are probably less people willing to spend over $3,000 to get into Cervélo. I'd always thought that the P2 was a steal at under $3,000, but now if you want a Cervélo for under $3K, you'll actually have to steal one. With all the specs out of the way and all the comparisons between the new P5, the old P3, the old P2, and the very old P3 behind us, we got a chance to take the new P-Series out on the road to see how it actually handles in real-life conditions. Let's take a look. The first thing we noticed right off the bat is that the P-Series is one of the more stable handling bikes we've ridden this year. While the new P5 is certainly stable enough for long course racing, the P-Series leans a lot closer to the P2 in straight lines and predictability through corners. Cervelo's engineers assured me that this was a function of increased lateral stiffness in areas that help handling, something that's often overlooked. While it didn't have the scalpel-like corner cutting of the P5, it's comforting to ride a well-tuned bike that goes where you want it to, aided of course by standard disc brakes. When it comes to comfort, we'd place the Ultegra mechanical version that we got to test right in the middle grounds of compliance over rough roads. I mentioned the build because the aluminum base bars and aero bars, slightly surprising for a bike at this price, might lead to a slightly harsher ride than we had expected. While climbing, the bike wasn't nearly as springy as the P5, but of course much more lively than the PX, the P5X, and the P3X beam bikes. Obviously, there has to be some compromise at the non-superbike level, and I think with the P-Series, it's in that stand-on-the-pedals explosiveness. All in all, there's a lot to be excited about with this brand new P-Series. Cervélo did a great job of taking a lot of the advanced high-end features from its new P5, from its S-Series, and putting them into something that their non-billionaire customers might actually be able to afford. I get to ride a lot of really cool bikes, but would I buy anything over $10,000? Well, I kind of need a car too. So with that said, Cervelo's done a great job here. I am a little bit disappointed that they kind of took themselves out of that sub $3,000 entry-level bike price range. But with all the craziness behind Cervelo's releases this year, their naming conventions, who's to say they won't release something under $3,000 called the L-Series in a week or two? Well, that's all for us today. I'm Chris Foster, and we'll see you next time.